All right, so we're going to get started. We're going to talk a little bit about the sales pipeline. So we're going to talk about opportunities, but specifically the cultivate phase or the pipeline portion of it. So I'm going to go through a few slides and then jump live into Command. Obviously, we know how to log into Command now. We're going to head into opportunities, and that's where we're going to spend our time talking today. Just to start out real quick, opportunities is broken into 3 different pipelines. There's the listings pipeline, the buyer pipeline, and then there's the lease pipeline. And then each pipeline has the 5 phases, which are the cultivate, appointment, active, under contract, and closed. Now, we can't change those 5 phases. KW has those set. And they did that because they needed a way to have some sort of measurable metrics in here. So those measurables are the phases, because all transactions are going to go through those 5 phases. Now, you might call it something different in your particular business, but they're all going to go through that, right? You're trying to get the business, then you're trying to get the appointment, or trying to find the business rather, then get the appointment, get it under contract, whether that's a listing contract or a signed buyer, and then close on the property, right? So those are your 5 phases, and then each phase can be broken up into stages, which are like little subcategories. You can have as few or as many stages as you want. Those are totally customizable by you. So that's just kind of the summary of opportunities there. So here on this screen, you should be able to see those 3 pipelines. I was talking about the listings, the buyers, and the leases, and then within each of those is the 5 phases: cultivate, appointment, active, under contract, and closed. When we go into one of them, like if I was to click on the cultivate or click on listings here under cultivate, that's where I'm going to see those stages. So you can see there's a little, like a teal colored line under cultivate indicating I'm in the cultivate phase. And then I've got my stages, which by default is watch, nurture, and hot. Now, those are going to work for most people, but if you want to change them, feel free. And I'll show you where that's at in a second here. So those stages are meant to be kind of like mini steps along the way. So I like to think of it this way. When it's in opportunities and cultivate, I like to think of the hot ones in like maybe 90 days or less. I like to think of my nurture ones as deals that I know are maybe 3 to 9 months or something like that, 6 months give or take away, and my watch might be the deals that are 12 or maybe even 18 months away. It depends how far out you want to track. So those aren't your actual checklists. Those are just kind of like the mini steps along the way. So within each one, you can set up checklists. And then I'm just going to point out 3 other things in here. Down at or right in the middle of like my Kirk Cousins listing here, you're going to see this $8,100. That $8,100 is indicating what the potential commission on that transaction is. And then down at the bottom of each stage, you're going to see a probable and a potential income. Now the probable income, well, the potential income is if every opportunity or deal that you have like under watch in this case, then came to close. That's where you'd hit that potential of $14,850 in this example. Your probable is based on this percentage in the top right corner. So this has got a 5%, because when it's in the watch would be like, my cousin told me that his friend, who I'm an acquaintance of, is thinking of selling in the fall or in the winter. Like, that's a watch. Like, it's nothing concrete yet. It's still pretty far out. Until I actually get in conversation with him, it's a pretty slim percentage of it getting all the way to close. So 5% of my $14,850 would be the $742. So as you move a deal from left to right through cultivate and then into appointment and active, that probable is going to go up. So,
Marty.
Yeah.
So the probability, do you set those or that's automatically set? I see that at the top is automatically set, I see.
Awesome question. So the probability, do you set it or does the system set it? By default, they are set for those stages that KW preloaded. Now, you can go in and you can tweak them, you can change them. At some point down the road, the goal of this system is that the artificial intelligence will have enough data and enough information from you utilizing Command to learn what your probabilities actually are based on the deals you put in and how you bring them through. So we're a little ways out from that because, for one, the system's got to gather all that data, and that takes time because you've got to have the transactions go from all the way from watch to close. But the system eventually will learn how you do your business, and those numbers will have the ability to customize automatically for you, Cedric, or for you, Teresa, or Michelle, or whoever. So yeah, I'll show you where that's at too. We'll get to that in just a minute here. So within opportunities, if I go click create an opportunity, this is the screen that I'm given. And I'm just going to cover the important things because a lot of people know how to make an opportunity, but a lot of us are skipping over some of these fields because they're optional. You don't need them. Maybe they're not as important right now. They will be important in the future because this is the system that's gathering to make the system smarter and smarter. So within here, I've got my market center as Maple Grove. That was default selected. If I was part of a team, I'd want to make sure my team name showed up here. If not, I'd select it from the dropdown. Then you got to set your opportunity type. Is it a listing or is it a buyer? This is really important from the get-go because you can't change it once you've made it. And that's intentional so that it would mess up the whole tracking of all of your numbers and everything. So you set it as a listing or a buyer, and then you're going to select the client. So you do need to have that contact in command. So if my cousin told me that his best friend was going to be moving in the fall and his name's John, I'd want to make sure that I added John as a contact, even if all I have is his name and email address or name and phone number or something like that to start. So I could click the drop down and I'd select his name. Then it's going to pre-populate a name for the listing, and I can do tags. Just like with my database, I can do opportunity tags. Totally up to you. You can do them however you want, or you skip them all together. What I've seen for examples of opportunity, or the tags for opportunities, maybe the source of that opportunity, the lead source. Was this an opportunity that you picked up from door knocking? Was it a sign call? Was it a buyer from an open house? So you could go through and enter a couple of tags for where that transaction originated from. I've seen people utilize tags for the city name, so the city that transaction's in. It's totally up to you, and that's customizable. You can evolve it over time.
Marty?
Yeah.
If you put that information in there, will that go into your contact information under that person and have it tagged as that, or do you have to tag both places? So is it tagged as a lead or tagged as something like that?
It won't actually tag. So if you put tags in here, it won't actually put those tags on the contact. It'll put tags on the opportunity. So they're two separate tags that you can utilize. The purpose of the opportunity tags is that so you could use those to sort out and kind of get a quick view on where your transactions are, like geographically, or where the lead sources are for transaction by transaction, different things like that. It's totally for you at this point.
Okay.
At this stage of the game, you may not have an estimated close date, and that's fine. But if you do, go ahead and put that in. Estimated listing price, or it could be the buyer price. If you know that, put it in now. You can always change it later, and if you don't, that's okay too. Then you do have to set a commission rate. So you would put what your commission rate is, whether that's 3.3 or 2.7 or whatever you're going to put in there. And by default, it's going to put this opportunity under the cultivate phase and the watch stage, which is that very first stage in watch. In cultivate. So at this point, I'd click create, and that would set up my transaction. I'm going to stop my screen here, and I'm going to switch over to command. Find my command window, there it is. All right. So now here in command, I'm going to click on opportunities on the left-hand side, the little handshake. And there you'll see those 3 pipelines. So let's go take a look in my cultivate. So under my cultivate, I still have the default watch, nurture, and hot. Now, if I wanted to add another stage or change those percentages, or even set up these checklist templates. So my watch template looks like this. For every opportunity I put in watch, I want to make sure that I get their phone number, email address, and their physical address. I want to make sure that I get them on a smart plan, that I make sure I set their lead source, and I want to set reminders to follow up with them in a week or 30 days or whatever that might look like. As I complete these, I can go through and just check them off. So if I wanted to set up some additional or set some up to start, I could go into the edit stages in the top right corner. And right here it says that I'm in listings and cultivate. And here you can see I have watch, nurture, and hot. Now I can click on the left, hold down, and drag to reorganize them. I can click here to set up my checklist. By default, yours will be blank. And I'm going to share the template that we have in the chat right now, so that if you want to set up tasks, you can kind of see the ones that we've kind of masterminded as an office and put together. So let me just select that here. Stop. Okay, I just sent it in the chat. I'll also post this in the Facebook group later. But that is all of the checklist items that we came up with when we masterminded with a bunch of agents here in the office. Then over on the left-hand side, I can click the pencil to edit one of the additional ones or initial ones. I can change the name or the probability. I close this, and I can also do add stage in the top right corner to set up a new one. My fourth stage, whatever I want to call it. Maybe I have a probability of 10%, and then here I can create that checklist. And hit save. I save my checklist and save. Now I've got my fourth stage here. So in my cultivate, you would see that now. I'm going to delete that just so I don't forget. Otherwise, I end up with lots of extra ones in these trainings. So now I'm going to go through and I'm going to create an opportunity live. So I'll do create opportunity. I've got a listing. Let's do client. Pauly Shore. I heard Pauly Shore is going to sell his house. His career's not so hot lately. It's going to default to Pauly Shore listing. If I know the address, I can put it in here in the opportunity name now, or that's something I can do later. I don't know a close date yet. Estimated list price. He's got his house listed for $9.5 million in LA, but we'll just say $375. With a commission rate, you set that up. I'm going to put 3.3 in there, and these are all changeable fields later. So I'm going to hit create. Now it created it, and then it went right into it so I can edit it. I can click on the pencil under these different fields to add additional info, or I'm going to go back. You can see it's right here now. Ignore this one. This was my test one from before. There we go. So you can see I've got this right here, Pauly Shore's listing, $12,375,000. So I could go into my checklist, check off items as I do them, and I could click on the transaction or the opportunity to add additional details. So I could go into this property details once I find out the address, and I can search for that address, 2421 Solar Drive, LA. Okay, save. Now it added the property details in there. If it's a buyer, you won't have that for a while yet. And then I can go through, if I have any additional details over here I can enter, I can go and click the pencil. And let's say I can set my time frame. Let's say he's 3 months out. And we don't have an appointment scheduled or any of the dates yet, so we can save this. Now I've got that set up. Down at the very bottom, there is a description where I could click on the pencil and add any just general description notes that I wanted to for the transaction. I want to remember that it was fully renovated in 2015, and it's got a 360 view of LA. I Googled his address before this class, so that's accurate info, actually. That's just general info that I want to make sure I remember about this. Then I do have a notes tab over here where I could add any additional notes about this opportunity. Now, this is not a note about the client. This is meant to be a note all around that opportunity, something I want to remember about this transaction, but it may not necessarily be pertinent for the duration that I'm working with that client over my entire career. We go back. You'll see I've got it right here. I can go to my checklist. And let's say I've already got his phone number and address. Great. I need to set him up on a smart plan. I did that already, and I set his leads so I can check these off as I have them done. Now, I could actually set a due date for this specific task by clicking Set Due Date and pick when I want that. And now I'm going to get a Kelly reminder and a reminder under that notification bell and command for when that task is due for this opportunity. And I also can add a special task just for this opportunity. Let's say I have something outside of my templated tasks that I need to do for this one. Let's click Add an Item. Maybe I want to follow up to see if his renovations are complete. I can add that one task for here. And I can set a due date of the 31st. Now I'm going to get reminded for that particular task. And since I added it within this opportunity for Pauly Shore's listing, it's not going to set that up, or it's not going to mess up my templated tasks that I have for all opportunities. Close this. And now it's moving a little closer. He's a month away. So I'm going to click on this and I'm going to drag it and I'm going to drop it right into hot. Because like I said, he's a month away. So now I've got a new checklist. And if I click on it here, I can see my new tasks are to contact them to set a listing appointment, get my appointment set. Got a couple of test items in here. Check them off as I complete them. And then I can go into this transaction again by clicking on it. And now I've got a little more info. So let's click on my general info, the pencil here. We have an appointment set for Monday, the 25th. And that's when it's scheduled. Once we actually have the appointment, I'm going to go back in here and then update it and save it. Then I'm going to come back in here, and once I have an agreement or contract date or close date, I'm actually going to make sure that I put those in, because those dates are all going to help to complete your reports, which is going to give you better insights into your business and how your business is performing. And these reports over time will give you key insights to help you project and predict through your pipeline, so that you've always got a steady stream of business. You always know what's coming down the pipe, right? Hence the pipeline. Then I could even go in here into the seller worksheet once I have that and click on the pencil, and I can start to put in some of this info. I know that the buyer's agent commission, let's say it's going to be 2.7 on this one. I'm not showing the closing costs. I find out his mortgage balance is $200,000. I can go through and enter any of this info. He's got an additional one of $20,000, and his property taxes are $3,200. The more info you put in here, the more complete it's all going to be, the better data and info you're going to get on the back end. Some of these things are not going to give you more info right now, but they will as KW continues to build out and make that reporting feature more robust. And now if I go back, you can see he's right here. Got my checklist items. We set the appointment. Now I can actually drag him and drop him into my appointment phase. And from there, you'll continue it on. So I click into appointments now. Oh, just took a second. There it is. It's under schedule. I actually have it set, so we put it there. And I'm just going to continue to check off these items as I get them done. And then I can continue to add more and more details. So the trick is you want to make sure that you're always updating anything important on the contact and in the opportunity, because that's going to help you in every aspect of your business down the road. Now, if I do click in here to open it up, I actually can click on his name and hit Go to Contacts to jump straight to their contact card. Super handy for getting back and forth between the two. And that's loading up in my command window here. Just a second. There it is. So now he's loaded up here. Over on the right-hand side, I can actually click on the Opportunities tab to see any opportunities that I am involved with or that I have going on or set up for that contact. So if they were an investor client, I might have multiple ones in here. So you can always click on there to jump back to it. So you can get back and forth from contacts and opportunities really, really easy. Now, let's say this went a different route and I I went and I had a listing appointment with him, but I didn't get it. Somebody else got it. In that case, I'm going to click an open opportunity,
Got it.
and
It's a
I'm going
little-
to toggle the switch for lost opportunity.
It's a smaller. Lived in.
When I do lost opportunity, that does go, that does show up in my reports as a deal that I missed out on. So if you have an opportunity that you don't land the deal, the buyer goes with somebody else, or the seller goes with somebody else, you'll toggle the lost opportunity. Now, if you're in here making some test deals like I do all the time with my PolyShore listing, I don't want that to actually show up in my reports. That's fictitious, right? It's fake, or it was a practice one, or it was a goof up. I could click on the 3 little dots in the corner here, and I could archive it. Archiving it does not go into your reports. That just dumps it in the, on the back corner of the shelf, basically. It's still there because we can't delete anything just for compliance. So that'll archive it and it won't count against you, so to speak. So I'm going to archive this one because we had it just set up for fun here. I think I covered all of the important pieces of it, but that's the power of it in tracking your business, because that information is going to show up in your reports, like I've mentioned a few times. When I go in here, I can start to see lead sources and all that kind of info, and they're going to continue to add in here. This is just my main dashboard, my activity. If I go into reports, now here I've got what are my total number of opportunities, what are my new ones, what's the dollar amount and the average time that a transaction sits in each phase and stage. That's why it's super important to update them all the time, and to make sure that you're not leaving deals sitting in different phases or stages if they shouldn't really be there. That's the overview. That's how you can really leverage command and opportunities, specifically the sales pipeline, for your business.